For those of you that have romantic partners, it is Valentine's Day 2025. And who knows, maybe the President of the United States is doing something special with his First Lady. And all along those lines, I'll see if I see anything on the news as to what they've got planned for this particular day and all along those lines. But it is Valentine's Day around the world and everything like that. So people are out there celebrating and all along those lines. But that doesn't mean that news isn't going on as well. Israel has announced the names of the three hostages set for Saturday release from Gaza. So Hamas releases the name of three hostages to be freed on Saturday, and they include a U.S. citizen. So that is something that is good news for those that have been trying to get these hostages released. And Pope Francis has been hospitalized for bronchitis treatment and checks, according to the Vatican. So Pope Francis canceled events after being admitted to the hospital. So that's something else that we're seeing in the news as well. And of course, many of us remember that tale of the person got swallowed by the whale and everything, but apparently it was a real life incident that took place yesterday. So a humpback whale briefly swallowed a kayaker in the Chilean Patagonio, and it's all captured on camera. So the whale swallowed the kayaker and spit him back out, and it's all captured on video. The video shows the whale gulping up the kayaker, and the kayaker said they thought they had died and everything, but I guess it wasn't the right flavor for that particular whale and all along those lines. But we'll see what folks have to say about that. And a drone damaged the outer shell of Ukraine's Chernobyl nuclear plant. Radiation levels are normal, so that's good news in that place. And an Indian court finds a 31-year-old man guilty of the rape and murder of an Irish backpacker 8 years ago. So Goyamon was found guilty of rape and murder of that Irish backpacker that took place 8 years ago, and all along that. In the Indian Express, it was reported they would not bring her back, but so I guess folks are thinking that at least justice was served. Accused in 2017, rape, murder, and murder of their Irish backpacker found guilty. Her family breaks down in Goya court. And in Germany, a Munich car was ramming a suspect had Islamist motive. So Munich car ramming that injured 37 investigated as Islamic extremism. So it doesn't hurt in a suspected car ramming attack in Munich before the German elections. So that's something else that we're seeing as well. And the scent of the mummy, researchers discovered ancient Egyptian remains smells nice. So smelled like an Egyptian. Researchers sniff ancient mummies to study the preservation, witty, spicy, and sweet. The smell of an ancient Egyptian mummified body reveals new insights into their embalming process. So that's something else that people are researching and all along those lines. Trump triggers Western anger over appeasement talks with Putin. So that's something that was reported yesterday. So U.S. relations with Europe will never be the same after Trump's call with Putin. So German defense manager blants Trump's clumsy Ukraine negotiating ploy or play and all along those lines. So we'll see what happens in that space. And a federal worker tried to take Trump's fork resignation offer, but I guess it didn't go the way that they thought. And Australia accuses China of unsafe fighter jet moves, and the Philippines voices concern over China Australia air encounter in the South China Sea. So it's not just in Ukraine and the Middle East, there are conflicts in other parts of the world as well. As a matter of fact, 260 foreigners were rescued from virtual slavery in Myanmar's online scam center. So that's something else we're seeing. So the Chinese-led scam gangs leave Pei Thongsu. So that's something else that's in the news as well. And Turkey's Erdogan lashes out at Israel on a visit to Pakistan and laments the tragedy of Gaza. So definitely a lot of things going on in the world and all along those lines. And if you're wondering about history, once again, archaeologists are stunned by the discovery at the planned site of a new London skyscraper. So remnants of a Roman basilica are found under a London office building. So they might have found some new artwork that is 2,000 years old that was found in this London office basement. And instead of luxury condos, Gaza faces a resumption of the war. So Netanyahu says the Gaza war will be resuming if Hamas delayed the hostages releases, but it looks like they're not going to do that. So for now, we still got a ceasefire, which is good. As the DRC battles Rwanda-backed M23, that's another part of the world in Africa that's going on. So the Congo M23 rebels take the airport near Bukavu as the president seeks support abroad. So Rwanda-backed rebels claim to have seized a second airport in East Congo, and Congolese church leaders met Rwanda-backed rebels in the east in the latest push for peace, and that took place a couple of days ago, and all along those lines. And Trump roasts CNN's Caitlin Collins during a press conference. So Trump tells CNN reporter nobody watches her network because it has no credibility. So Donald Trump hushes the CNN reporter during a presser, haven't asked you to speak yet, and everything like that. So it looks like he's going after the press as well. And Australia braces for very destructive winds as a Category 5 cyclone nears landfall. So Tropical Cyclone Zelia makes landfall in northwest Australia. And the iron ore ports close as a tropical cyclone Zelia nears Western Australia, and that was reported earlier today. And Hong Kong plans to ban substandard tiny apartments. So low income families are fearing higher rents in that part of the world. So higher rent is an issue all over the world and everything like that. And a gas explosion at a Taiwan food court kills 4 and injures 26. So that's something that was going on in Taiwan. And in a few weeks, hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans will lose TPS. And that's something that folks are talking about as well. So Venezuelans back Trump. Now some worry he'll deport them. So that's some news that's going on as well. Let me get to some U.S. news, and then I'll see who's here with me. I know that Nick was here a minute ago. We'll see if anybody else has joined the party. No, it's just me and Nick right now. But let's see what else is going on. As thousands of probationary employees fired as Trump administration is directing folks to take some action in that space as well. So it looks like there's some more things going on in that sense. So definitely there's some laid off workers and all in that space. And so-called hit by mudslides, flooding as powerful storm slams that region, and LAFD members escape truck swept into the ocean by mudslide during downpours in Malibu. So they had that fire, and now they're dealing with rain and everything like that. So mudslide risks continue in Southern California after heavy rain flooded some areas and prompted evacuations. And Zelensky meets Vance as Ukraine says Russia hit that Chernobyl plant, like I said earlier. And the conference MSC 2025 opens as U.S. pushes to end the Ukraine war. So the Munich Security Conference, Vance attacks Europe on immigration, defense spending, and says free speech is in retreat. So Zelensky says he does not see a ready U.S. plan for ending the Ukrainian conflict. So we'll see what all goes on in that space. And swing district Republicans are questioning Mike Johnson's budget. So House panel advances budget plan with Trump priorities and executive orders coming. So Republicans put health care front and center to advance their cause and everything like that. So we're definitely seeing a lot of things going on. And Trump ordered to temporarily lift the U.S. aid freeze and allow foreign aid funding. So a judge ordered temporary reversal of Trump admins freeze on foreign aid. So there's things that even the courts are getting involved as well. And there's a flurry of resignations after the DOJ tells prosecutors to drop the case against Eric Adams. So Trump officials demand in Adams case forces a Justice Department showdown. So some people are wondering whether Governor Hochul will remove the New York City Mayor Eric Adams. So it may go up to the governor. And Trump delays a sweeping reciprocal tariff plan as global markets rally. So it looks like the global markets are rallying, so he's going to pull off on that for now. And Macron says only Ukrainian President Zelensky can negotiate peace for his country. So Europe must respond to Trump's electoral shock, says Macron, and he's warning against capitulation as Trump suggests he may not make concessions. So we'll see how this all plays out as well. So we'll see what goes on. But in a phone call with Putin, Trump abruptly ended U.S. efforts to isolate Russia. So that's something that people are talking about as well. So we'll see what all goes on in this. And the Kennedy Center staff described climate of fear as events drop from the calendar. So like I said, Issa Rae She's an actress that canceled her Kennedy Center show after Donald Trump was named as the chairman. And there's some other cancellations as well. So we'll see all what goes on. And of course, Donald Trump did have his meeting with India's Narendra Modi, so U.S. and India, to double bilateral trade in 5 years. So that's something else going on in a positive sense. And definitely looks like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been sworn in as health secretary. And a Texas judge has fined New York doctor for sending abortion pills to Texas. So, like I said, there's a lot going on in the world, including things with Doge and all along those lines. And I've got Rick with me and everything. What do you think about RFK being the Health and Human Services? And I've also got.
So I got a ton of vaccinations before he took over in case he decides to shut down vaxes. I got vaccinated against, here's my list: raccoon or muskrat bite, splattered by fluids when walking by a furry orgy, if a cat poops in my mouth, rusty speculum, which was also my stripper name, and if I'm hit by a bullet that ripped through someone with Hep C during a mass shooting incident. So I'm all protected now.
Yeah, you're all protected. Are you protected, Nick? You're over there in Spain. I'm thinking you're all protected. I actually had a call, one of those survey calls, asking me if I was protected from the RSV and COVID. So they gave me an 8-minute survey. Then that came in from the CDC yesterday, just making sure that I was had the shots that I needed, and if I didn't have them, that I was open to the idea of having them. So did you get all of your shots?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's important to get vaccinated. The anti-vaxxers are idiots. They only think about themselves. And a lot of the stuff is, well, I don't want to hurt my body. Okay, well, I'm autoimmune compromised. So if you get some idiot anti-vaxxer around me, I get really, really sick. They may not, but they make me really, really sick. That makes me sick, thinking that they don't give a rat's rear about making me sick. So, I want them to wear a badge. I'm an anti-vaxxer, so I stay away from them. I just have no respect for that group whatsoever. The science is extremely clear that the vaccinations do work. And all the rubbish I've seen for physicians, from informed consent to Dr. McCullough and Malone, is just pure garbage. And the worst garbage is they allowed an attorney who has no background whatsoever. And this shows how bad the Senate is, the Republican Senate. How bad are they? That they have no spine whatsoever. There's not one of them that has a spine enough to say, no, I'm not going to vote for this. This is stupid. So, Mark, I have no respect for Congress at this point in time.
And also, the anti-vaxxers are like, well, I don't need to get my kids vaccinated because these diseases don't kill kids. Well,
it does kill kids.
COVID can kill kids. It can lead to long COVID. And also, those kids infect their grandparents. Right. And old people definitely die. 80.
They're currently, as we're sitting today, and the media doesn't pick up on it because it's spineless too. They're all scared of Trump. Okay, as we're sitting today, Mark, they're estimating 30 to 65,000 people will die of the flu this year, the highest in 15 years, mainly because of the dummy anti-vax movement. And the thing is, they're not taking their flu vaccines. Now, I had my flu vaccines before I came over to Europe. And I had my COVID vaccines because I am not incredibly stupid like they are. And they do die. Okay, there's only one good thing about their deaths. It eliminates the dumb gene pool. In other words, the dumb people are dying. And
well, I think it's murder in some cases. I think that if you've got like, say grandma is 80 years old and she's sitting on $1.5 million and you're in your 50s or something and you're out of money because you're busted, yeah. And so you get COVID or you get the flu and you're like, let's go visit grandma.
Yeah, in fact, let grandma die quickly so we can inherit their money. I mean, that could be true, but also if you think about some of the anti-vaxxers that associate with people and they are contaminated and they know they're contaminated, it's just a matter of time. I mean, the real problem of maintaining a lawsuit against them, Rick, I'd be more than happy to sue them, really. If somebody came to me and I knew they were not vaccinated, I got sick, I can guarantee you they would be spending the next several years, if not decades, in a court of law. Okay, the real problem is because it's so invisible, it's hard to point out that that person is the one that infected me. So it's a proof problem that you have. But I have no respect for whatsoever. And of course, I grew up. My mom was the head nurse of Tampa General Hospital back in the 1940s, and so I grew up with all this garbage. Because when I was a kid, I was looking through these medical books on tuberculosis. And, oh, if you saw these books, these people were, and they had actually a TB hospital in Tampa. They had people on iron lungs because of polio. I mean, if you saw the mayhem that people went through because they weren't vaccinated.
My uncle was one of the last people to get. He was an intern, studying for his doctor degree, and he was treating some of the last people with polio, and he got it, and he had to wear leg braces the rest of his life.
Yeah. I mean, there were leg braces, iron lungs. I mean, and frankly, people die. Now, the only beauty of these 60,000 people who died this year of the flu is they can't maintain a class action suit or a lawsuit because they're all dead. Okay,
so have a suit if you're dead and everything. But
so the people who infected them killed them, and now the thing is, the person who would be the plaintiff, your best witness, is all in the ground.
I did have a quick question for you, Nick and Rick, and we might bring in Toby. I did see he popped in as well, but apparently the Republicans got some good news and everything, because I know one of the things we talk about on this network is cuts and definitely how things can be cut and everything. And apparently the House GOP panel passed a budget blueprint with $4.5 trillion in tax cuts and steep spending reduction. So we know those coming out and cutting
I did
right.
go through that. The Tax Jobs Cut Act and all that stuff, Mark, is totally bogus, bad policy by the U.S. government. And I'm going to tell you why. It's bad policy by the Republicans. Good policy is to cut spending. I have no problem with that. Shelve the Kennedy Center, get rid of all this crazy spending. But bad policy is to lower taxes, because remember, you're 36 trillion in debt. Frankly, morons, you need the tax revenue. Now, why is not this country is so spineless. Why is it that the Republicans grow some and say, look, cutting taxes now is not the right thing to do. You want to keep the tax rates high, if not higher, so that you cover this stupid debt you've been involved in. Not only that, it's worse than that, Mark. There was a study done, and I did one really quick, a guy named Warren Buffett. Some people have heard of him. Most people around the world don't know who he is, but I think he's a pretty smart guy. And Warren Buffett made an interesting statement. Berkshire Hathaway paid $5 billion in taxes last year. He said if the Fortune 800 were to pay the $5 billion in taxes, you could run the entire federal government with no income, Social Security, Medicare taxes whatsoever. However, because of all the loopholes, which me being a tax attorney, I drive my clients through these loopholes, so I understand. And not really loopholes, it's just the stupid tax code giving you advantages in certain areas. Okay, the average corporation in America doesn't pay but like 8.2%. They don't pay the 20, 30%. They don't pay the $5 billion. But now this is another point that the Democrats and the Republicans that are true Republicans, I don't see any right now. All I see is a bunch of spineless wimps in the Senate. If they were to say, okay, let's make sure the corporations and the Fortune 500, 800, pay their fair share in taxes, then guess what? The rest of the people, no Social Security, no Medicare taxes, et cetera. But that's not what's happening. And Warren Buffett pointed it out, and I ran the math behind him. He was pretty close to correct. We spend so much bloody money. I think he was off $1.5 trillion because he has no idea how much money but if you did a combination of cutting, which is what Elon Musk is doing, and bring in Warren Buffett for the tax increase, yes, then your country would actually run quite smoothly financially. What's going to happen is not.
Point out something
that they're going to screw you guys up royally, because they're going to give tax breaks for the rich and cuts for, and they're going to fire a bunch of government.
It's definitely river up economics. But I think one thing people don't truly understand is, majority of the outgo of government spending is to generate revenue flow, cash flow. And the reason that is they employ many of the people who don't have jobs in other places. I mean, this began many, many years ago. Hey, let's, give more people more jobs in the government world. So a lot of the jobs that are there, I'm not going to say they're not valuable, because maybe they are. Maybe they add a lot of value, but the most value they add is for generating revenue in our economy. And that's because you've employed somebody securely in a government job. Now, nowadays, having a job in the government is like being employed with Nortel until it shut down because of the massive layoffs that they're doing with everyone. And I wouldn't want to be employed by the government right now, state or federal, because they're just going to go through and fire everybody. I hope that there's a lot of lawsuits and none of the money rivers up. That's because that's what's about to happen.
It's not just $4.5 trillion in tax cuts to the rich. It's a $4 trillion increase in the debt ceiling. So we're going to go from 37 trillion.
Well, and it was only generated so that we can give Elon more contracts. Yeah, see, Jacoby knows I'm right. I already read up on this. So all of that debt ceiling that they requested was so that they can contract Elon for his military, building military.
So it's now, people who understand it better, this is inflationary, right? So in increasing the...
Yeah, it's inflationary. Nick would know more.
So that's a tax on everybody.
An absolutely horrible...
No, it's not a tax on the rich. It is not a tax on the rich.
But what really gets me isn't that, I know they have a new attorney general, but my second cousin, once removed, was Attorney General of the United States, Bill Saxby. And Bill was very well known because he was Attorney General under Nixon and survived the purges and Ford. He was known to, quote, tell it like it is. And here's where it is in Washington. Those people are bloody spineless. How can not one Republican vote against RFK's nomination? It shows me.
Well, one did. Mitch McConnell did.
Who did?
Mitch McConnell, I believe.
Because we got one guy has a spine. No, I'm not really a fan of, but at least he has a spine. Right. It really gets me when you have a group of sheep that are in Washington, D.C. This is the time they need to not be sheep. They need to be really, really, standing for what they believe is right, and what RFK is definitely not the right person. And lowering taxes right now when your government is so far imbalanced is just bloody wrong. They need to look to increase taxes and increase revenue so you can stop the bleeding. And so where are the Republicans that have a spine? You know what I've seen? There's not one of them, except maybe Mitch McConnell, that have a spine. None of them can stand up to Donald Trump. It shows me I hope they all get thrown out in the next election for only one reason: they don't have a spine. And I have no respect for them whatsoever. I'd hate to I will be meeting with them because I'll rejoin NAFA. And I'll tell them
who has no spine? Who has no spine?
The Republican Senate. It's pretty clear. It's clear. The Republican Senate, especially the ones that voted RFK, not one. I wish I knew their names. We should flip them up on Pod TV. Are spineless. They're spineless sheep. We don't need them. They could be fired also. Did somebody throw us off the air because of what I said? No. Okay, good.
They haven't kicked us off yet. But I am getting banned quite often. Folks, if you're not happy with Facebook and controlling your voice, go to podtvchatter.com. We won't ban you for talking about the truth. Just don't use extreme foul language, damn and stuff like that. It's okay.
By the way,
and don't bully people and no porn. That's all I ask.
I have no problem with people who disagree with me. If somebody says, no, Alveda, you're wrong. All these Republican senators do have a spine. Please speak up and say so. I know Jacoby believes they have a spine.
I have no problems with people disagreeing. I just wish that they would disagree with facts and not opinions from Fox News that they gather. I just wish that they would come with a little bit more.
So Nick, just to point out,
We don't
You're
need any
asking-
Republican senators. Put a bunch of jellyfish in there. You don't have spines. But let them do it. I just hate spines.
You're
What?
asking for the Republican Party
Why are you defending the Republican Party? Toby?
voted for Trump to
Yeah.
grow a spine
Yes.
and stand up against the things that they literally voted for.
Absolutely.
They knew RFK was going to be the
No,
HHS.
RFK is just one part of a
Nope.
one part of a bigger
They
wheel.
voted for the man who said that he was going to put RFK head of the HHS. But now you're saying that these same Republicans that voted for Trump, knowing that he was going to do this,
Of course.
need to grow a
I mean,
spine.
I'm totally against the party system anyway. The party system is all it is whether it's
Wait,
Democrats or Republicans,
Nick.
is to suck up spineless people.
Nick,
When you go to
you're
law
not
school,
listening to
you
anything
are
that I
taught
said.
to think independently, please, counselors.
Nick, you're not listening to anything I said. This is why
Oh, my
the
Lord.
constituents out there are using the
My Lord.
FAFO. The reason they're using that is basically exactly what you're arguing about now. You effed around and now you're finding out.
No, I'm not.
We
No, this
told
is just
you
amazing.
it was going to
Okay,
be this
see,
bad.
the problem
We
is this is where you and I
told you that he wanted to.
Tony,
He told you that he was going to do this.
This is where
But
you
you
and I
voted
differ.
for him anyway.
You think I should swallow the whole banana because the whole banana is good when I'm telling you part of the banana is rotten. Okay, and so the thing is, there's a lot of stuff that Trump is doing that is good, and you don't want to hear any. of it.
What's
Okay?
a lot of the stuff? Wait.
A lot of
Let's
it
start right
is-
there.
A lot of it is cutting the spending. Now Shaquille's coming on. He's going to get
Cool,
mad
great.
because you
This
overtalked
is
him.
this is
I have
exactly
now
what I
had the Toby experience. You overtalk me all the time. Shaquille, I got it because I've been with Toby a lot.
So this
He
is
overtalks
what I
all the
want
time.
to. This is what I
Because
want to hear.
I say
hold on, this
something
is what I
that
wanna hear.
overtalk me.
We brought
And then
Shaq
they
on. I would
complain
love
why
that.
it was
Shaq,
fucked
he is
up.
our conservative.
You know,
He is our
Just
conservative
Toby is
voice.
a progressive one-way
Now-
street, and everything's
now,
got to be this way.
Before we had
I was a
shows,
bad
and
banana.
this is the
All right,
question
all
that I
right.
had. Hold
Yeah,
on,
I
this
think
is-
you guys
hear me?
Banana.
Yeah, we
Now
see
we
you.
can hear you. Now you can hear
We
you.
see you.
Oh,
Yeah, we see you.
So this
Can't
is
you
a question.
differentiate
Oh,
between
he dropped off.
banana?
You drove Shaquille away. We haven't had him in a week. Let's
Yeah, I know. I just
I
wanted to
think
ask you a couple of questions.
he's having technical difficulties. Nobody beamed him out. He's
Yeah,
just
come on,
trying
man.
to get
Just-
logged in, and
just-
we've been
just
trying to
come.
bring him in.
Hey,
But
look,
we're not beaming him out.
But
there's
Nick,
a
again,
lot of stuff that Donald Trump is doing, which is good. One thing is
Stop.
cutting all the government bureaucrats. Another thing is bringing out things that you don't want to bring out, like
no.
Pelosi
See, this is the problem. Nick,
invested
wait.
using knowledge of
Nick,
government and
Nick,
made
hold on.
$200
This is the
billion.
problem. I need you to be a little bit more detailed than just giving me a bland. He's cutting out the waste. That's what he said he was going to do on
I
the
wish he did
campaign
this
trail,
first.
and he also said he had no plan to do it. So,
Well,
what I
apparently,
need
Elon
from
Musk
you is
did
a
have a
little bit
plan.
more detail. Are you saying that government waste is the spending that they're doing on special needs kids in schools? Because he cut that. Are you saying that the waste or the excess spending is the cancer research that they've been doing at NIH? Is that the waste you're talking about? What about the thousands of people that they just let go at the VA?
Not a government fund.
Messing
You
with the
think
VA
everything is
is
a
not
government
waste.
function. It isn't. A federal
No,
government
you
function.
got to be more specific.
I'm
This is where
curious
these
on why
little
they.
people
I'm
disagree.
curious why they
I
banned
disagree.
volunteers at the VA. I am curious about that. But I get the feeling that this is part of the Republican cleansing program. Get rid of all the resources for the weak so that they can get the help they need so that next time COVID comes through like it did last time, it'll just wipe out more people like they
Oh,
did.
you're also going to see a major negative repercussion in these firings. You know what it is? Unemployment. Watch. The unemployment numbers are going to jump.
Pandemic level, baby. Pandemic
Here's
level.
what happened. All those unemployed people in the government had their current government jobs.
And
They actually got
unemployment
there-
insurance won't help
They
you
actually got
because
there with not being vetted,
avoided when
similar
Trump
to
does
Elon Musk, and they're not elected. So the thing is, these government officials that are being fired, correctly so, are just like Elon Musk. They have never been elected. They have never been vetted, and rightfully so, you're getting rid of them.
they have
But
no
here's the-
merit. They
It's gonna
have no
increase
merit.
unemployment. because they're not going to get a job in the private industry because they have no
You're
skills.
just rambling today again.
Well, hold on.
You're
Let
talking
me
about these-
get in here with some quick math. Let me get in here with some quick math. So Trump made a buyout offer saying federal employees, if you quit your job, we'll keep paying you through September.
7 months.
So far, 75,000 employees have taken that deal. That's a little less than 4% of the entire federal workforce, and might save, I don't know, $6-7 billion, which is nothing like the trillion they're going for. But
You know what that
also
points
add
out
this in
is
there,
how
add this in
bloated-
there.
This is Republican
it points out how
accounting.
bloated the federal government is.
Wait,
What you just
That's
pointed out-
have 4 billion, spend 4 trillion. That's Republican accounting.
What
Exactly.
you just
Here's-
pointed out
here's
was
the
how
thing.
bloated
Hold on.
the federal government is.
Real quick, let me put this before you so you can help me with this as well. You can help me with this as well. As Rick just pointed out, in terms of the actual budget, that really is a drop in the bucket. 50% of the budget is defense. You know who has a ton of defense contracts? That is actually Elon Musk. They have yet to touch defense and won't touch defense in the way of they're actually giving Elon Musk more money to actually get $400 million of armored vehicles. On top of that, this buyout, which Nick, legally, they can't actually offer this buyout because the president or the executive branch doesn't actually control the budget. So they can't guarantee this money is even going to be funded. So Elon Musk, an unelected official, firing these individuals and actually putting his group above the actual cabinet and telling the cabinet members that they have to, if they're going to hire anybody, they have to put them in front of Doge. Illegal there as well. So you cannot say they can't promise anything because they don't have the money to promise and they don't control the wallet. This is
since when did you become a lawyer, Jacoby, and a judge? You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, and you have no idea.
Oh, wait, Nick! I have no idea what I'm talking about. Time out, Nick.
The law
You're
is
telling
very
me that the executive branch
mysterious.
controls the budget. Does the executive branch control the
Everything
budget?
you said,
Does the
everything you
executive
said
branch
is
control the
purely
budget?
from your
I
Does
wanna
the
hear from
executive branch control
would be
the budget?
accepted in court.
Does
is
the
calling for
executive branch
speculation
control
by
the
the
Instead of that, I
budget?
want to hear
You
from
would be
Shaquille. We
thrown
haven't
out
had
of court.
Shaquille on.
Hey, hold on a second. We haven't heard from Shaquille in a while. Shaquille, how you doing?
Oh, it's hard to talk over
He's-
the turf. I can
he's-
guarantee you
Shaquille?
that.
He might be he's frozen. So
He's frozen.
Oh, he's frozen in Australia. Okay, well, it must be cold there. What can I tell you? You know,
it's summer in Australia right now. It's
That's
probably
true.
Somewhere in Australia.
but unfortunately, his computer's frozen. Okay,
Hey,
so
I have a question for.
let's go to
I
some
have
of
a
the
question
crazy
for
stuff
Rick.
that Toby wants to talk about. And let's go to Nancy Pelosi and her husband, who invested using knowledge of the government and made $200
Nancy Pelosi
million.
isn't in the government. Why do we care? It's
Okay,
because
well-
it's a distraction.
Well,
You're
because
talking
she's
about
trading on
Nancy
inside
Pelosi who has her
information,
own money
Toby.
and who actually
If
makes
you
her
were
own
with
money.
security, she'd be
Elon
in
Musk
jail.
stealing
If
from the
security,
government.
her husband would be in jail for insider
Not
trading.
talking about Elon Musk.
Have you ever read such
Nobody cares about Nancy Pelosi. Nobody
Okay,
cares about her.
I see, because she's a
Nobody
Democrat.
cares
always
about
forgive it. I got it. I got
Is
it.
Nancy
Toby.
Pelosi
People
in
are always
the
forgiven.
government? Is Nancy Pelosi in the government? No.
Okay, all is
About
forgiven
Elon Musk,
because
what's going on now?
because she did insider trading. All is forgiven because she's a progressive. I
Oh
got it.
Lord! Insider
You're
trading while
If
Elon
you
Musk
like
is
cheating,
actually
Okay,
taking
it's clear.
in
You
3
lie,
weeks.
cheat, and steal, but you're a progressive. You're
In
innocent.
3 weeks, the Doge group, $17 million. 3 weeks,
What?
$17 million.
Billion.
They do
I'll
not
bet
deserve
you-
$17
Hey,
million.
hey, Shaquille,
Yeah, Shaq
I
says
didn't hear
that
this guy. I can't
hand over his
talk
mouth.
over him. I mute
Shaq
him.
is the one
If I
that
mute him,
voted
Mark
for
unmutes him.
I have
Or the-
I have a legal question for Nick, and maybe the
I don't
panel
answer legal
can
questions.
talk about
on
this
so
as
you can
well.
ask
But
all you want.
you know, in the past, anytime anyone in Trump's
totally
administration gets
get
into
it.
trouble for doing his bidding for him, they usually get thrown under the bus and they go to jail, not Trump. as we have seen in history. So Elon is being, accused now of buying votes. Do you think that Trump is going to let him go under the bus for that?
That's
not prosecutable. Nobody's going to prosecute him.
Well,
There's
first
no
of all,
bus to get thrown under.
Accusations, you have to prove accusations. Jacoby,
Right, you have to prove it. That has never stopped anyone from
Everything I said is fact.
I just asked a question. Will Trump throw him under the bus like he did everyone else?
Not one dime has been spent on Tesla trucks. Yet the progressives keep creating this thing.
Wait. Not one dime has spent yet, Nick.
Okay.
Come on.
Exactly.
Just happened.
As they would say, it would be bounced out of court. I'd love to see you in court because the judge would throw your butt right on out. It's
Right.
all speculation by the witness.
Not
Your Honor,
speculation.
what would you rule?
Because Nick,
Yes,
as
it
he
is speculation.
Nick, not
Case
speculation.
goodbye,
Even
Jacoby.
you pointed out the fact that they had to go and do a revision because they had to take out the word Tesla that was actually in the actual bill at first. Then they had to revise it, take out the word Tesla because they got pushback. And do you really think that they're not going to?
Could have put in Lockheed Martin.
And then on top of that, Nick, we can solve this easily. All we have
All right.
to do is sign.
Jacoby, let Shaquille say something for once. We're 36 minutes.
I'm good with letting Shaq. Now you tell Nick the same thing, Rick.
I'm telling both of you. There, Shaquille.
Both of you. Shaquille, how you doing?
Well, good evening to the panel. Good morning to the panel. So it's 3:30 in the morning for me. I'm not in Australia. I am in Fiji, hence the shirt, visiting friends and family. And it is beautiful here, except for the rain and the, hot weather, but it's humid, so it's nice. I'm actually not 100% sure what you guys are talking about because when I came in before, the internet was a bit fuzzy. So all I heard was something about me being a conservative and then a legal question. But without knowing what you're talking about, I'm just going to take a guess. Most of you are whinging about Trump, and Nick is trying to pretend that he is back on the Republican side. So that's what I'm gathering so far. So here's what I'm going to say. To Jacoby, Buddy O'Powell.
Oh, my good
I
friend.
find it so fascinating, Jacoby, how much attention you are paying to every bit of legislation and who's in charge of what, and who's getting away with what, now that you're lost. Because when Democrats were in power, my goodness, if it comes to making excuses, look no further than Jacoby. Now, is there a potential or a real conflict of interest with Elon Musk? Of course there is. Is there a real issue with Donald Trump carrying on the way he is and affecting international relationships the way that he is? Yes. And it's concerning and it raises eyebrows, even amongst those of us. Well, you call me a conservative, so I'm not going to talk on behalf of the conservatives because I'm not one. But even those of us that think that he was the better pick than Kamala Harris are sitting there and going, not sure about that one. As awesome as it sounds to build some casinos and a golf course on the Gaza Strip, not sure that that's really what US government policy should be. We raise eyebrows. But you know what the difference is? When it's on our side, we'll say it. When it's on your side, oh no, Biden is more energetic than an 18-year-old. Biden just was blown up the stairs 4 times by the wind. Kamala Harris makes sense when she talks about the context of things. I noticed that the unredacted and unedited ABC interview has come out now, right? Or CBS interview might be, that has come out now. So you guys will make every excuse you want to make for your side, but if Donald Trump stubs his toe as he's walking out of the room, oh my God, Donald Trump's incompetent because he stubbed his toe, right? That's what we see. And I'm just gonna say one last thing because I know you're busting to respond, Jacoby. I mentioned this last year when I came to Fiji. Our woke airlines in Australia that you love so much, You know what they did when we flew into Fiji? They said, oh, we would like to take this time to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land and their elders, past, present, and future. Nice. That's really nice. Because when it comes to racism and who doesn't give a flying fuck about anybody else's culture except for their own, it's Americans and the Poms, the British, and Australians and Canadians. Couldn't give a shit. So you go in, you fly into a country with a plane full of Fijian Indians. Fijian Indians, as in Indians that were brought over here as slaves or servants by trickery or force, who, when the Fijians said, we want our country back, they should leave, were told by India, you're not coming back here, you have a new home. Were told by England, you're not coming back here, who had their land taken off them and were forced out on the street. I know you find it amusing because only the pain of black Americans matter, who were told and unceremoniously kicked out on the streets and left in poverty, right? Who lived desperate lives for decades. And then the airline comes in after this country has been on the brink of civil war. You should. After this country here in Fiji has been on the brink of civil war for centuries, for decades, where there's been coups, etc., and the woke airlines of Australia decide to come in here and say, we acknowledge the traditional owners on a plane full of Fijian Indians that have been displaced by those sorts of policies in a country that's been on the brink of civil war. And I've just found out, I'm not going to name the airlines, but that most of the American airlines that fly in here also say that. So I was just wondering, who doesn't say it? Well, I just flew in here with Fiji Airways.
What are
And
we
you know
talking about?
and you know who runs Fiji Airways? Fijians. And you know what they said when we landed? Welcome to Fiji. Welcome to our land. Welcome to our home. We hope that you have a magnificent time. So, my point being, Jatovi, you're lost, buddy. Your team lost.
Okay, are we done
Your
here?
Democrats lost.
Can we have
Your
a
woke
response?
bullshit
Because
lost.
right now you're just
And your
rambling.
racism lost. Yeah, I'm going to let you respond. Just let me finish my rant. Hey, just Jatovi, I will let you respond. Just let me finish my rant. I don't come on. Jatovi, just let me respond. Jatovi, let me finish. Let me finish my little rant. You don't see me very often. I don't come on very often because.
Oh, good. He's frozen. Now we can talk. We can actually talk about what he was actually saying. So, one, he pointed out talking about the ABC interview. The ABC interview did get released. If he did not note that the fact that Donald Trump was suing ABC over that, he was trying to silence and remove all the accreditation from ABC over that interview because he lied, saying that it was edited and taken out of context and all this other stuff to make her look better. The actual interview actually got fully released and it had showed none of that.
I say something about Kimberly and all of a sudden I'm put backstage, right? Brilliant. Brilliant. I'm still going to finish. I'm still going to finish, Jatovi. I'd still like to finish, Jatovi.
Everything that Trump complained about the ABC interview actually happened. The same things that is normal process for any interview, from 60 Minutes, from CBS to ABC to Fox to NBC. It didn't matter what it was. Every interview happens that way. And honestly, the problem was the silencing that Trump tried to do on the whole because of that interview, that whole lawsuit. Now, one thing that
Jatovi, you lost. You lost. No. You lost. Democrats lost.
And Shaq, I get it. Oh no, we lost. Let me cry because we lost. That is an idiotic argument because yes, we did not raid.
Well, if I could finish that being
so
taken
what
back
I'm trying to explain to you,
stage all the time, and you
Yeah, Trump won.
Okay.
But let's talk about what he's doing. And this is where you
You're
have
never gonna
avoided
stop. You're
everything.
opinion to the
What
answer.
we're talking about,
No, no,
yes, you
no, no,
talked about the
no, no,
concern internationally, but you did not even
This
think,
is-
you did
this
not
is just his
think
opinion
even
is
more
right.
about it. You ranted on all this other stuff.
Then
Then you talked about, oh, this is concerning, and we can talk about it, but you didn't. You then changed to a whataboutism. So let's stay in the moment and actually talk and have a conversation about, are you for
Well,
the fact that
well,
they're cutting
no, no.
special needs programs, Shaq?
No,
Are
no,
you for
no.
that?
Let me,
Are
let
you
me, let me,
for
let me.
the
Yes,
fact that
yes,
they're
I am.
cutting
Yeah.
veterans programs? Are you
Yes.
for the fact that they're cutting cancer
Yes.
research and
Yep.
other research, especially as these viruses are
Yes.
starting to break out, because tuberculosis is
Yes.
now the #1 killer
Yes.
in this nation. So you're
Yes.
for the cutting of
Yep.
funding for
Yep.
these programs. So thank you for
Absolutely.
telling me that you don't
Yep.
care about anybody but the fact that Donald Trump won,
Yep.
and you're okay with special
Yep.
needs individuals like my son who will no longer have access
Yep.
to these actual functions. That is what you're telling me you're
Yep.
for.
Yeah, that's not what I said, but okay, good. So
Okay, then let's talk
I'll come back to it. Okay.
Let's talk about those things.
Well,
that
we
he's
can
doing.
talk. When you say let's talk about it, do you mean you should talk about it or we should talk about it?
You
Because
talk about Fiji. Who talked
okay,
about Fiji?
well, we
Talk
can
about Fiji.
unmute you and you can just keep going, or if you
I'm asking
want
you a question. Are you for these things?
us to have a conversation, I've repeatedly said yes.
Are
I'm
you
for
for
those
these
things.
things? Is a
Absolutely.
question that's not about Fiji.
Okay, well, I don't know how many other
So
ways you want me to say yes.
you're
I'm for
for
those things.
special needs programs.
Yes.
Your 4 special needs programs are getting cut. Thank you. Okay, that's what I know, and that's you're for cutting funding for starving kids in other countries, because we do have the biggest food program for these areas. So you're for cutting funding for these starving nations.
So I'd be happy to explain, but I don't want to interrupt your narrative. So I'll just give you the yes or no answer that you like. So
listen to my
yes,
question. I'm asking you a legit question. Are you for
yes,
cutting
yes,
funding
Mr.
for
Prosecutor.
these programs to leave these individuals
Oh,
starving?
I can see. I
Yeah.
can help you out. Absolutely, yes.
Help me out. Help me
Absolutely,
understand.
yes. Okay.
No,
We
no, no,
have
no, 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 Nick, sorry, no, no, Nick, sorry, Nick. I can
federal
talk for
government
myself.
funds
No, excuse me. I can talk for myself, right? And I'm happy to explain the reasons why. But Jacoby has shown for many years that he's not interested in that. So
Explain the
please,
reasons why.
so
Don't
please,
complain about me.
keep pushing.
Explain the
No,
reasons
no,
why.
no. I'm not complaining about anything. I haven't had a chance yet because you're on your little rant and rave. So please
No,
go
you just
through
talked
and
about
continue
me.
talking about how
Can
much
you-
of a piece
can
of
you-
shit that
let's
I
have
am.
a
Please
conversation,
continue.
Jack. Let's have a
We
conversation.
will have
Can you
yes, but having a
explain the reason why?
conversation, having a conversation with
explain
you
the reason
consists
why
of
you're
you doing
against-
all the talking.
Can you
You doing
explain
all
the
the
reason
talking.
why?
Okay, keep
I'm
going,
getting
keep going,
questioned
keep
out
going.
and then you tee it off. Can you explain the reason why you're against special needs programs for kids in schools? Can you also explain the reason why you are against food programs like the USAID programs that are the largest food program globally that helps these starving individuals across the world?
Jacoby, hold on a second. Let him at least respond. I think he was going to give some background
I
as to
want him to
why
respond.
he is against the cutting, but you keep cutting in and everything. So let's at least hear from Shaquille what his answer is and everything without us making it personal. So let's at least hear what his answer is.
No, Mark. I'm not taking it personal. And I've already dished it out. Democrats lost. The racism and the hatred and the sheer inhumanity with which Democrats treat everybody else is my joy when I say that they lost. Okay? I'm not offended. I don't take it personally. Come at me. Because here's the thing. When I go on other podcasts where I get over 1 million views when I go out and speak, the people know exactly what my opinions are. If Jacoby thinks that he's going to improve his public image by acting the way that he is and attacking somebody like me, I'm all cool with that. I'm okay with it. Jacoby, I'm not going to get upset. Please come at me.
This is why I interrupted. I asked a legitimate question, and he goes on this diatribe of that. So I just want to know what his answer is. Maybe if you ask him the question, Why is he against special needs
I
programs?
could answer your question. I could answer your question. Absolutely.
I want to hear his answer. Let me hear your
And what
answer.
I'll do, because if I criticise America, you guys will get your knickers in a knot. So let me talk about Australia, okay, just for a moment. We had a program brought out by the left-wing government, a Labor Party government. Labor is associated with Democrats, but the Labor Party, that was called the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Okay, I didn't think it was a very good idea at the time. I was wrong. I've changed my mind. I think it's a fantastic program, and it provides vital services to people, all the people that you just named, people with special needs, people with disabilities, children that have issues that need extra funding. Right? Brilliant program, and many Australians rely on that program. Now, in the United States, it's not quite as simple as one particular agency. You have many agencies that deal with these things. What has come out over the last handful of years is that the NDIS does not provide that funding directly to those individuals. Those individuals need to apply for it. They have to go through a very bureaucratic process, and there are multiple private companies or charities that are in the middle. And what that means is that if you want to get an item that might cost $3 if you were to buy it privately, the item ends up costing $25. Am I in favour of that funding being cut? Yes, not because I don't want the people who are beneficiaries of that program to have their benefits cut, but because all of the people in the middle that are taking that money, those individuals and those companies, they need that money to be cut from them. It is inefficient and it is a waste of taxpayers' money. What we have seen Donald Trump and Doge do in the United States with his programs, you mentioned USAID, for example, before. Yes, it is very concerning that USAID is going to be cut, and it potentially will leave people who are desperate, the poorest people on this planet, without that funding. Now, we can argue about whether or not the United States is responsible for that and whether they owe that money to the rest of the world, but that's besides the point. The question is, how much of the money that is actually being paid by US taxpayers is actually going to those people? And if the majority of that money is not going to those people, then there's a problem with the program. Now, whether the new speaker for the White House, or whether people like Pam Bondi and all these other people, I noticed that RFK Jr. got confirmed earlier, when these people are talking about these sorts of inefficiencies, I think it is worth listening to them and saying, okay, are there those inefficiencies? Is it true that USAID spent $50 million on condoms in Gaza? Is it true that they spent $70,000, which really doesn't make a difference on the scale of the universe, but did they spend $70,000 funding a play on transgenderism in Ireland? Because I'm British and I have my businesses domiciled in Ireland. And last time I checked, Ireland's not a poor country, and if they needed funding, it would come from the EU. Is that a judicious use of US taxpayers' funds? I think not. But what you do, Jatovi, is you try to break it down to, oh, these programs are helping these people, and so any criticism of the waste of taxpayers' money on things that are not related to those programs is therefore coming from some place of hate. That when we say, hey, Africa isn't going for the LGBTQ stuff right now. Maybe they'll change later on, but they're not going for it right now. And for you in America and your allies, like the countries I'm a citizen of, to say, we're going to give you some money. We're going to help you to feed the poorest people in your countries, but only if you support this woke thing that we want. You are holding food, you are holding security, and you are holding people's lives at hostage unless they agree and acquiesce to the whims and fancies of America and its allies. And that, my friend, in my personal opinion, is one of the greatest abuses that you could possibly inflict upon other nations.
Shaquille, very
Now,
quick.
please respond.
Uh,
Sorry,
you-
Sasha.
Okay, Shaquille, you just said U.S. and its allies. And who are those allies of the United States? Could you name them?
Well, the closest allies is the next 51st state of America, according to Donald Trump, Canada.
No,
And
Shaquille,
look, I have never asked you.
That's no longer the case. There is a very
I know. I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you, Sasha.
greatest news. I will explore it more on my Ukrainian program, but I will tell you that Canada is becoming a big force in liquefied gas. European Union wants to diversify. It doesn't want to depend on U.S. liquefied gas as it used to depend on Russian supplied gas. So Canada looks like fantastic alternative because Canadian dollar is much lower than U.S. because the transportation routes are much better and cheaper than from United States, and Canada is now signing very favorable for European contracts. And what US is doing, US is muscles. It's contract, a long-term contracts with no escape clause or so on. Doesn't matter what price on liquefied gas at that time. So Canada is acquiring a niche in this business. It will hurt our American so-called friends, but that's
Sasha. So, firstly, I was teasing you, but the closest allies to the United States is obviously the Five Eyes countries, which is Canada, a country that you know that I love, a country that I have always said I would rather move to Canada than the United States, although I love and respect the United States, right? So I'm teasing you. The United Kingdom, a country that I am a citizen of. New Zealand, a country that I was a resident of and lived in. And Australia, which the country that I was born in and I'm a citizen of. Those are the closest allies. But most of Europe also is in alignment with the United States. Donald Trump said something today, and this might come as a surprise to people for me to say this. Donald Trump's come out and threatened BRICS nations with a 100% tariff if they try to create their own currency. Okay? I think that's wrong, actually. I think that's really badly wrong. Because if those nations choose to enter into trade agreements with each other, who the hell is the United States to interfere with that, right? I disagree very, very sharply with Donald Trump on that issue, all right? But I just want to again point out what I said before, and I know you got your finger up, just bear with me 1 second. I do want to point out again, I have absolutely no qualms whatsoever in criticizing Donald Trump, or criticising Republicans, or criticising the Tory party, criticising Nigel Farage, no problems. I can say whatever I want, and you know what? They'll listen to me. Donald Trump hasn't sent a message to my team and said, right, I'm going to rescind his invitation to Mar-a-Lago, right? My invitation to CPAC next week hasn't been rescinded. I'm not going because I don't have time to go to Washington next week, but it hasn't been rescinded. Even though I'm really, really critical of conservatives. You guys call me a conservative, but I'm not one, right? But they've still invited me, okay? And I just want to respond to Jack Donovan because he's asked he's put a number of comments in. There is a clear conflict of interest with Elon Musk and his involvement in the US government, no question. There is clear issues with the amount of funding which is being cut from US aid, from a number of other government agencies. There is a clear issue. This will swing back. But this is not the fault of Republicans, right? What has happened here is the fault of the Democrats, because Democrats have taken the piss, taken taxpayers' money, misappropriated it for themselves, and then pissed the rest of the money up against the wall. And it's not about politics. It's not about politicians and political parties. It's about the people. And the people of America said enough. And maybe, Jatovi, you should start having respect for your fellow person.
Well, I know we're up on the hour, and I know Nick likes to shut it off right when I'm talking. But everything you said about the special needs programs in the U.S. is wrong because I'm actually living it, so I know the actual answer better than you do. And you gave a lot of talking points.
Yeah, it's not like I have family with special needs in America.
Shaq, again, I know it because I'm living it. You're in Australia.
So do I. I have family.
You don't
Dude,
know.
I have family in America who have special needs. What are you talking about?
You have family. You are not there. So you have family. You are not there. I am living it. I am not saying that I have family that are living it. I am legitimately living it. So I have a better experience and knowledge of it than you. So
no, you don't. No, you really don't. You really don't.
Yeah, a foreigner from Fiji knows more than I do on this
It's a
special
state
program.
Oh, really? And you lecture me about Australian politics, right? You lecture me about Australian politics. Yeah, good work, Gav. Good work.
We're going out again.
We have to
Again,
go.
as you